Well, bonjour. Comment allez-vous? Je vais très bien, merci. Hey, glad to see everybody's here. I hope you had a great week so far. We always wish that for you, but if you didn't, we here to make it better. That's why we do this. So, as in usual fashion, y'all know you got to have your drinks. So, here's to everybody on the live. All right. A dream. You're right. You're right, Miss O'Neill. All right. Hey, man, this weather is getting good, so I'm kind of excited because I can bring out my sweats and all of those things, all those winter clothes. You know what I mean? I like fall weather because you can kind of mix it up and still be kind of comfortable. But anyway, let's get on with it. Before I do that, let me bring my guest on so we can start this thing off right. This is going to be a doozy. Before I give you what the topic is, I want to bring them on so we can kind of get deep into it and take a deep dive into this thing. All right, y'all hold on. All right. I just did one. Hey, Miss O'Neill. Hey.
Hey,
Oh, you sound like you
hey.
down in the dumps. You better liven up a
No,
little bit.
I'm not down in the dump. Shoot, I had a good day. I had so
All
many
right.
blessings this week and a big one today. That just proves that, when you're going down the tunnel of life or whatever, you can only go one way. You go toward the light. 'Cause if you go back, you're going to go in the mess you was already in. So I went
You
toward the light. I'm
said
good.
what you say in Poltergeist, walk to the light.
That's
Walk to
what
the
I don't be saying like her. I just be, because, I just be following the light. That's what we do.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, what's up, Keith?
Yo,
Oh man, you sound like you got a lot of wind in your lungs right now.
hey
Rejuvenate.
man, I'm on an international schedule right now, man. I ain't been sleeping the last all week. You know how I get when you working that international stuff. So I'm kind of, but I'm energized. I'm built for it. That's why I stay in shape. You know what I'm
There you
saying? So
go.
I can have the energy to do this, man. We got some things to talk about too. You know what I'm saying? But yeah,
Okay.
I'm an international thing. Everything good? Y'all good?
Oh yeah, everything's good on this side, man. Everything. So we
Yeah.
just
Lunch lady, you good? Lunch lady?
I am the real lunch lady, and I got the juice, not the tea for
Not
y'all
the
always.
tea.
Yes, I am.
That's what's up.
Yes,
Hey,
I
well,
am.
that's
That's
good.
good.
That's good. But I'm glad everybody's doing well. And man, I'm telling you, life is kind of uncertain right now with all that stuff going on. But as long as you keep a positive attitude and don't worry about it, just handle the things that you can control. If you can't control it, you shouldn't worry about it too much. All
Yeah, it
right.
was kind of sad what happened today in the news.
Yeah, yeah.
Now that's bad. Yeah,
That was
I said that earlier. I don't care what you're
uh,
Republican, Democrat. I don't care what you are. Ain't nobody supposed to be shooting and killing people over no views. Come on, that's just crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. Yeah.
that's unacceptable, and I don't condone none of that. Yeah, that's crazy.
kind of
Hey,
sad. It's kind of sad that the way the world is going, y'all.
Yeah,
Politics, religion, all of it. You just not safe. There's
hey,
no
but the
safe.
thing is, it's only cowards.
yeah,
Cowards do that
man.
kind of stuff, man. No stand-up guys. They can discuss their feelings and they're in touch with their emotions. It's just you get these fruitcakes out here who got a point to prove, and
That's one of my words, fruitcakes.
yeah, and really they don't have any kind of respect for life because they're willing to die because of some ideology or something that they believe in. And when somebody goes against what they believe in, their feelings get hurt, and then they got to give out.
And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't this guy like 200 yards away? So he was like a sniper or something, right?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
this was
Come
this
oh
was
yeah,
on.
this was
That's
planned.
that's the cowardice. That's what I'm exactly what you said, man. Come on, man. You two football fields away on a building or something. Like, come on, man.
yeah, yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. And that's why they. And that's what I'm saying. That's why the cowards. They use these high-powered rifles that are good for distances, so they ain't too up close and personal. And then they don't want to get caught and somebody catch them and beat the brakes off 'em. You know
Did
what I
they
mean?
catch him or did he kill himself?
I'm not sure.
Mm.
Did you know? Did Georgia? Did he kill himself?
I didn't see that part. It just struck me that he was on a college campus or whatever.
Well,
I think all of doing.
Utah, the university, they're going to get sued because
Right.
you know how it goes with this type of stuff. That if that incident happened at their event, I don't know what the security level was, and I don't know what people are doing, but I would think that in this heightened environment that we live in, I like to say the word heightened. Everything is heightened right now.
Oh
So
yeah.
anybody that's a Trump supporter, right? And I also think that this is wrong too. Let me just say this, all right?
All right.
And this isn't the topic, but this is the truth. You can have whatever views you want about whatever president, Democrat, Republican, it's all the same, right? But just because someone is working with the current president or they're part of the establishment in whatever way they are, it doesn't mean that they view and agree and think the way he thinks. So people that go and want to kill people over affiliations, things. Now, once again, I don't know everything that this guy said, but it doesn't matter, right?
Right. Right.
People
It really
take this
doesn't.
Trump thing a little far where they say, and once again, I'm very clear. I'm not being political. I am not a Trump supporter, but
Right.
the thing about it is it's not right for people to judge people who do support Trump as if they're racist, they're this, they're that, whatever, because just like any other president, most people vote for issues. They're not
Right.
picking
Right. Right.
every single thing. So
Well,
I think that's the one thing with the Trump stuff that makes a lot of those people a target. Now, I don't know what this guy did or said, but I think that Utah University should have at least had some heightened awareness of what actually was going on.
yeah. Well, I think it's the climate, Keith, because I mean, either you can stop one, but when you have someone who's willing to advocate and kind of put people, normal working people, in a position where they need to rally behind the flag and at any cost, then it's gonna happen all over. The problem is that you've got people who are really, and during this time, you've got people who really think that it's okay because of things that happened since January 6th.
That's true. That is very true. You bring up,
You
you
know what
bring
I'm
up very
saying?
good points. Yeah,
So
yeah,
that kind of hatred and that kind of
yeah.
security gives people that courage. That's all
No,
that
you're
is.
right. You're right. I wasn't even thinking about January 6th at the moment, but as I think about what you're saying, yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, man. But
Hmm.
it's sad, man. It's
Yeah.
just sad because again, how can a man defend himself if you're shooting from 200 yards away?
200 yards. That's two football fields. Come
Yeah,
on,
man.
man.
Yeah. So,
That's crazy.
but it is what it is. We
I'm
hope
gonna
that
be
his
right back,
family is
y'all, for a
okay.
minute. I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna step out for a second, okay?
We hope that his family is okay, and we're gonna pray for him, man. That's just crazy.
Yeah, from what I understand, I think he was married and I believe he had 2 kids. That's just
Yeah,
that's crazy. My heart,
yeah.
I was sad when I saw that. I was like, wow. I said, this is crazy, man.
And then he wasn't one of those guys, those rough and tough guys, like causing a lot of people to
No, he wasn't.
get.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's crazy, boss. It's crazy.
True.
But
Yeah.
anyway, let's get on with our discussion because we can talk about that situation all day. It's just the climate that we live in, and we have to understand and take all necessary precautions to keep ourselves safe, man.
Yeah,
Because
you just not safe nowhere no more, Mr. G. As we say out here, watch your body. You know what I'm saying? When you out there, man, it's just they shooting out here over road rage and people shooting into people's cars and stuff like that. Like, come on, man. Like, yeah, you're right. The climate is crazy, man.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
mm.
And that's the cowards because I remember a time, even from the time you had to knock the stick off somebody's shoulder to engage in the fight, you were face up.
Yeah,
You were heads up with them. You ain't
yeah.
coming from the back, and if you snuck somebody from the back, man, that was a bad reputation for you, and people came to see you about that kind of stuff.
Exactly. They like, oh, you ain't really win. Like you
Yeah,
snuck.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Hmm.
All right, but anyway, last week we had our discussion and we talked about whether or not social media made our lives better or worse. To me, it was a very good discussion that had a lot of different dynamics that I didn't think about, but it kind of opened up my mind towards some things. But still, yet, there are pros and cons to everything. But I think for the most part, particularly for our young people, social media has put them at a disadvantage as far as people skills, as far as interaction with other people, and those basic put grass under your feet, getting out there, getting bumps and bruises, the things that make you human and make you grow. But if you like, you can check it out on our page. It's on my page at Facebook. So if you want to, and I highly encourage that you do, because I think you'll enjoy it. But on to our discussion tonight. And this discussion, I think this is more a battle between older generations and the new younger ones. And the topic is whether or not gentle parenting is more effective than traditional parenting. Now, we all know what traditional parenting is. We already know the disciplinary process was totally different. Now, we've heard the term gentle parenting, but I don't think people really understand what it is. So we're going to define what gentle parenting is, and we're going to see how effective that is compared to traditional parenting. And we want to know, are kids turning out better or worse? I'm looking at it this way. I see all of these school shootings, all of these, just like what happened recently in the news now. Listen, these people are young. They're not old people. So I'm thinking that and I know that our youth is being affected by these things. So the question is gentle parenting more effective than traditional parenting? Now, first what we have to do, we have to define what is meant by gentle parenting. Until we did this discussion and I did my research, my definition and what my thoughts were, they have since been changed now that I know the true definition. But gentle parenting is an approach to raising children that emphasize respect, empathy, and understanding rather than punishment, fear, or strict control. All right, let me repeat that. Gentle parenting is an approach to raising children that emphasizes respect, empathy, and understanding rather than punishment, fear, or strict control. Now, it's built on the idea that children should be guided with kindness and patience so that they can learn self-control. And we're going to talk about that, that one particular thing, that they should be, the idea is built that children should be guided with kindness and patience so that they can learn self-control, responsibility, and respect for others in a healthy way. Now, when we get all these definitions and all these clinical experts, they throw these words around, and I think sometimes they are misplaced and they are used to cover up something. Not saying that they have ill intent. I'm just saying it just makes it feel good. Those are feel-good words, those flowery words. Traditional parenting is a parenting style that follows long-established conventional approaches to raising children. So we all know if you came up in my generation or two generations after me, then you probably were raised with the traditional way of parenting. Again, gentle parenting, I just started hearing about it. Now, I knew in context what it meant when you say gentle parenting. We all know what that means because of the words. But when we start talking clinically, what that means, it varies a little bit from what most people may think. So
I'm gonna tell you what it means clinically in Black people language. That later on, Your kid's gonna be the one whooping your ass. That don't work. I'm just
You say it don't work, DeJoya?
because I think like you said, people take that out of context. I see all these people with all these gentle parenting let their kids get away falling out and all that. And oh no, little Johnny, you're gonna be in timeout when we get home. You're gonna get it when we get home. You know what? Back in my day, it was gentle parenting because it was Princess, you better stop that, or I'm gonna get you. And before she could get that out her mouth, that coat rack was having some problems. Cause Sunshine and Zares, they had them turnaround coat racks. Oh yeah, it was a dance around there. My grandmama didn't play. I just think that gentle parenting is a way for these parents nowadays to say, I don't want to deal with what my kid is really doing. I don't
I
want to
believe
accept.
that. I believe
Huh?
that.
Yeah, I don't want to accept the fact that I want to be my kid's friend and I'm not my kid's friend. Now I didn't believe in like beating the holy heck out your child. But sometimes they need a little pow pow. You know what I'm saying? You
Oh
ain't
yeah.
gotta you ain't gotta make the Batman words come out. When you knock them out, y'all know Batman how them pow bang words come out. You ain't gotta do all that. They know you mean business. I mean, y'all know what I'm talking about. But I don't agree with the gentle parenting because I feel like there should be consequences for the things that you do that are bad. That's why we got hints. This is why we got all these shootings, these kids making bombs, snipers, this and that, because you don't want to deal with your kids, so you let the internet babysit them. You let people get a hold to them, whether it's virtual or physical. And when I say people get a hold to them, you open your kids up to so much when they don't fear discipline.
Oh yeah.
When
I agree with
in
that.
school, today, okay, we gonna call him little Bobby. He was up in the little office, right? And the one of the APs was telling him, "Oh, we don't spit on people, we don't kick people, we don't throw chairs, and we don't punch, and this and that. And we're gonna go call mommy." Now, the new superintendent of schools got this new thing called de-escalation. Now, I'm gonna tell you, if little Bobby, little Johnny, little Becky, Shaquasha, or whosoever Agaball walk up on me and hit me, I'm gonna knock the living daylights out of them, cause I feel
You
like I'm
can't
gonna get
do a
them. What?
child. Now, come
Huh?
on.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna tell you, cause my reflexes ain't gonna let me. And if they parents had reflexes, maybe they wouldn't be where they was. I'm just saying. Now I'm
Listen.
just saying, but this is the thing, and that's what I'm telling you. People expect the world to let that go with what their children get away with at home, and then they throw all these names, or they got ADHD, they got all this stuff. I know how to get the ADHD out you, all them letters. I'm just saying. You got to look
Hey,
at the
well,
real
hey,
world.
I'm gonna leave that alone since you're
No,
in the
but I'm
school
just I'm
system.
I'm trying to tell you, you got to think. People don't think these days. Like, you love your child, and I love my children or whatever. But if you go knocking the living Jesus out of somebody else and Jesus ain't ready to come back, that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, well, I think in any case, each case might have to be handled a little differently as an
My
isolated.
own child ran into me and told me he was gonna hit me, and his daddy warned him, and he ran into me and hit me, and I just stuck my feet out that door in town suites. If it would be standing, it still ain't the same.
All
I'm
right,
gonna tell you.
all right, okay,
Okay,
all right.
I'm drinking
But
my blue moon.
anyway, I see you got your views, and I respect that. But you have to have, if you're in fear of your life and danger and things, then I cannot kind of understand that. But a child that
But you
has,
will get hurt like listen, and y'all, in all seriousness, y'all can research this more than enough, and it's a proven fact. A lot of times, us in school situations, us in service situations, we get attacked, or we are the ones on the forefront, and we the ones that go home dead. I mean, well, we don't go home dead, we just die right there. But I'm just saying, we the ones that end up hurt. We the ones that end up with the scars, because now I'm not gonna say that a kid can't have a meltdown and there's a problem, but some of these kids use that because they've heard the adults say, "Oh, they got such and such. Oh, they don't like to be, they don't like loud noises. Or they don't this." And because I've heard kids say it. A kid told me last year, oh, you know what, I act like this because I got autism. And I was like, no, you don't got autism, you got sense. So if you could tell me you ain't got no autism, you got sense, and you got everybody else
Yeah.
done lost it.
Hey, I agree
So
with
that's
you,
what
but
I'm saying.
that again, there has to be some isolation in these cases because all children don't behave the same. So if a parent allows them to get away with stuff, then of course they're going to try to get away with stuff at school. And the other thing is, if you're talking grade age kids, elementary and preschool and things of that nature, it's a little different from dealing with someone in high school, 16,
Yeah.
17, 18 years old. So I believe that we have a dilemma where people have the two confused, and the people that solely believe in gentle parenting, I don't think that they understand. They may have some events in their lives where they are traumatized or something like that. But let me get to it. Let's get to the comparison between the two. Number one of the biggest things in parenting is discipline. So traditional parenting often uses punishment, which is timeout, spanking, grounding, loss of privilege to correct behavior. The focus is on obedience, right? That's what the traditional way of parenting was. While gentle parenting used teaching, redirection, and natural, logical consequences. Now, I'm just saying this is what the research said. I'm not saying I agree with this stuff. I'm just giving you the facts as they are presented. The focus is for the children to understand why the behavior happened and guide the children toward better choices. That's what they say a general parenting. I don't see it that way.
I feel like this. Okay, so if you walk up to little Johnny, little Becky, little Bobby, little Susie, and you're like, no, don't do that, fire burns. But if you walk up to them and be like, no, don't do that, the fire burns. I think people don't realize that. So if kids don't feel like there's a consequence, and all jokes aside, there are some kids that really suffer from mental things and really are going through it. But because a lot of the homes, as soon as their kid does something, they want to take them and get them medicated. They want to take them and do other things rather than finding out the root of the problem or if that really is so. And they allow them, and I see this because I work in school. They parents allow their kids to jump on them and beat. And I'm talking about kids that really, they angry and they need some redirecting to their hind part. I'm not gonna be going up to no school with my eye black talking about he had a rough night last night. Cause if I got one, he gonna have one too. I'm trying to tell you. Cause I'm not gonna let and as I said, there are ways to determine if that happens. But just because you don't want to deal with where you failed as a parent and you didn't instill that earlier while they throwing bowls down and throwing tantrums and falling out, and now we get to their older and they have these big ones. Like I can't protect myself against no kid. Like a kid, if they come at you, even the elementary school kid, some of them suckers is strong, right? And I said I would not intentionally do that, but just out of protecting myself. And that's
Well, I
what
mean,
parents don't realize.
every person has a right to protect themselves, but I'm talking in generalizations. So we're going to have isolated cases. We're going to have a 7, 8 year old kid that looks like he's 13, 14 years old, and they're going to be strong as oxes. We get that. So, but what I'm saying for the general consensus, uh, we have to understand the difference between these two. And there's a medium that we have to reach in order for the parenting to be effective. If you're too rough as a disciplinarian or too soft as a gentle parent, that's not going to work either. There has to be a balance. Now, we talked about the discipline and how traditional discipline works. They want obedience, timeout, spankings, those sort of things. compared to gentle parenting, where they want to teach, or their focus is to teach and redirect and to help the child understand why that action occurred. That will work for some. It ain't gonna work for all. I can guarantee it.
Oh,
The second part of that is authority. In traditional parenting, right? The parent is the authority figure, and the child is expected to follow rules. That ain't no different than gentle parenting, but that falls under the traditional parenting rules. And in gentle parents, the difference in what they say is that they expect them to follow rules without much explanation. Now, I was always taught what's understood don't need to be explained. So if my my parents and I came from a mixture of both. My mother was very soft and loving and reasonable and logical and explained things and all of that. But my father was one of those. He was one of them guys that he wasn't trying to hear nothing. If you did something, my mother told, number one, if it got to my father, then you knew you were in trouble, because my mom would try to talk to you and see if you.
saying a key factor right there. And some people gonna get mad at me. There are not always fathers in the home, and then sometimes the fathers in the home, they. I ain't saying you shouldn't listen to your wife or your mate, because I listen to Sugar all the time. But sometimes the fathers in the home let the women wear the pants. I mean, and I just feel like there should be that balance there. When I was young, you know what? Most of the time, my dad wasn't around in my life. The only man that I knew in my life was my granddad, and later on, my stepdad, and then which was Coach, and you know, and my granddad. So I mean, the men are not allowed to be the man of the house anymore. Matter of fact, you got a lot of men that stay at home, which is nothing wrong with that. But you got a lot of men that stay at home, and while the mom, goes to work, but they let them have the whole roles. The role There are no firm roles in the house. And back in my day, there was some certain things I didn't get a whooping for, and there were most things that I got a whooping for, and then an explanation. I mean, I don't think that's right, but I'm just saying. So yeah, I mean, that's the crazy part.
Well, as a child, we're not going to understand it, even if, in my humble opinion, we're not going to get the full understanding uh, just by someone talking to us. I'm not now. When you get older, yeah, that works, but I don't believe, this is just my opinion. Don't come at me in my direct messaging. I'm just saying this is how I feel. So we talked about the traditional parenting method of authority, and that the child is expected to follow rules without a lot of explanation. General parenting, this is what it says, shows the parent is still the leader, but treats the child as a person who is worthy of respect. Rules are explained so the child understands why they matter. Now,
You can explain why you matter, but sometimes your butt still need to. You still gotta put that. You gotta put that firmness there. I should
I
say.
believe you. And we're going to get to, I'm just giving all the information. At the end of this discussion, we're going to give the method that works and the recommended way of how you should parent, how people should parent their children. Hey, everybody, thank you for the gifts. I'm hearing them over here. We love you and thank you so very much. I'm hearing bing, 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 bing. So I'm assuming that's a good thing. So, but anyway, so we talked about the authority. So we talked about two things that are necessary in parenting. We talked about the discipline and we talked about authority. Also, there's emotional expression, right? Traditional parenting, children may be expected to toughen up, hide their emotions, or stop crying quickly. Now, like I said, I had a mixture of both. So, my father, he didn't have all, and then I was the first boy. So it was like, okay, you got to be tough. I understood that. So it didn't bother me when he was tough with me because emotionally, when I needed to express myself, I could always go to my mother. Now, everybody doesn't have that outlet or doesn't have that mixture where they have that a dynamic in their lives. But the emotional expression is necessary. We understand that now, especially years later when you get older and when we get all these clinical experts that talk about how men have. And listen, I hate this when people, now that we've got the study, now we've moved forward into the 21st century where people start talking about, well, men back in the 60s, they're damaged because they weren't allowed to cry. That's bull crap. You know what I'm saying? If they're damaged because I'm not saying that didn't contribute, but I'm telling you that's not the reason men are damaged. People like to say, oh, if you were born in this year, this happened to you. You don't know what happened to me or anybody else. And even though it wasn't as prevalent as it is now, as far as being able to get counseling and being able to express yourselves, we still have ways of expressing ourselves through traditional parenting. We talk to our friends, we talk to our girlfriends, we had teachers we could talk to. If we couldn't talk to our parents, we had coaches. So I don't buy into that when people nowadays start talking about, well, you think that way because this is the way you're raised. That's bullshit. We don't want to hear that because everybody is different. Now, it's necessary for people to be expressive and to express themselves. But just because you're doing gentle parenting, and that's the method that you choose to use without a mixture or balance of the traditional, that doesn't make that kid going to be any better. Matter of fact, it may make him worse, he or she.
But they don't know. But the thing is, they don't know how to differentiate authority versus friend versus being a friend. You know,
Yeah, you're
and
right.
I feel like it's in all in all seriousness, I had two boys. I didn't shy them away from being with their dad because we didn't work out, but at the same time, even if when I didn't have to call their dad to speak, if I told them something, they understood I meant business. Now if they fell or was hurt, of course I'm gonna give them the mommy love. Daddy just gonna brush their knees off and be like, boy, you all right, you know what I'm saying? But I think that in so many instances, we can't be our kids' friend. And it's a way of being firm and gentle, um, in situations versus just being all out a poo butt.
Hey, I agree. I don't believe in that being friends. My kids, I was friendly with them, but never were we in a
Friend.
position. I didn't present an opportunity for them to ever think that we were equal, like we can, boys and girls, we can go out together. Nah, that's,
Right.
I think that's damaging to people. And I think a lot of kids suffer when that kind of relationship is formed.
I
I'm
mean, well,
not
you
saying that
know,
you
you
can't be
know,
nice to your kids and you can't do things together, but you still have to always be the authority in the relationship.
right.
And
Well,
when you
both of
start
my
talking
boys,
about,
they'll tell
hey,
you.
you get all of these different parenting. Again, it's generational. You get younger parents who were abused and not even abused in some cases, but had a disciplinarian in their household and they feel that that was too tough. So they do a 360 and they want to be gentle. I don't want to do that to my child. I don't think that because it didn't work for me. Your child is not you, first of all. So you don't know what it is. let's be very clear. When we talk about traditional parenting, we're not talking about abusive parents. We're talking about discipline that's brought about through traditional methods. All right? Because I know the first thing someone's going to think is that we're saying abuse is acceptable. And that's not what we're saying at all. So we don't want to get into that.
I didn't want my kid. I'm gonna be honest, because I've been transparent with you guys. If you follow us on Facebook, but I got to the point where I realized I was making my kids fear me because I had feared my parents or my whatever whoever my I don't know caregivers were. But I came to a time in my life where I learned I could be firm with them. I could let them know what I was saying, what I meant, without making them fear me. That's the difference. I mean, you can discipline your child without being the
Hey,
barracuda, you
but
know.
see, hey, listen. This is what the point of the matter is. All right, I'm making the comparison between traditional and gentle parenting. Of course, I may be biased because I was brought up in a traditional parenting home. But I'm saying if you're talking about being effective, we got the younger generation who, because of the way they were raised, and if they experienced any discipline that was outside of gentle parenting, they've gone to the extreme to say that the traditional way is wrong and it damages people. First of all, the first thing that everybody screams is that, well, they can't, they should be allowed to cry. They should be allowed to make mistakes. Now, all of that stuff, man, I'm telling you, we were allowed to cry. We were allowed to make mistakes. So don't put that and make a generalization of that and say that traditional parenting doesn't work because they weren't able to express themselves emotionally or they were spanked. I was spanked. I wasn't abused. Everyone in my household, from my cousins to my brothers and sisters and my entire neighborhood. I ain't seen nobody going to school with cuts and bruises and broke legs and broke arms. But we know when somebody got a spanking and they got the message. So I'm not trying to advocate for either or. I'm just trying to say let's make sense of it so that we don't criticize something without having the full knowledge of how it works. All right. So now, and I'm with you, Miss O'Neill. You get some of these kids now because they are not disciplined at home. I've seen them in supermarkets. I've seen them in stores and wherever restaurants where they throw fists. And I
And the
know
parents
everybody.
scared of them.
Huh?
The parents be scared of them.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many issues. One little fella going on the middle school now, but his mom worked at the school with us, and she'll tell us, "Oh, if he come in here throwing a chair or punching, just call me." No, I'm not. The boy bigger than a barracuda's bear. I'm gonna tell
You
you.
throw
I'm
a
gonna
chair
sit him
at
down.
you, you're supposed to
Yeah,
catch
I'm gonna
him and
sit him
just
down. I'm
call
gonna
her
sit
up.
him down. I'm gonna sit him. I'm gonna lay him down first, and then I'm gonna go up there and let you know, hey, he down now. That's why I can't I can't agree. And I know we talking about gentle parenting and things like that, but it all ties into this. Like the superintendent of schools we got now. He want to teach us how to de-escalate. Well, food service don't count because they don't think we nothing, so we don't get included in these de-escalation trainings and this and that. That's why I say I'm gonna lay you down because I ain't go through no training, so I ain't got to worry about it. But
You
you
better
want
not
us to
touch
go
them,
through.
kid.
Huh? I
You
ain't
better
gonna
not
touch
touch
them, but now if they touch me and my hand happen to reach out there, you know. But what I'm saying is that he talking about de-escalation training, and my thing is like you got to be reasonable. you know, you got a lot of kids going out here doing this, and they, because they not taught at home because they think it's funny, then they losing their life. Like that little boy that was doing that game or something. You know,
I remember,
I
yeah,
know a
I
lot of
remember.
people have, you know, and God forbid, you know, I hate it for the little fella, but you
Hey,
can't do it, huh?
now I was going to ask Keith what he thought about the authority and the discipline process between the two right now. What are
Want
his?
to knock him out too? He want to be like, that's what he
Hey,
want to do.
hey, I'm my era for me growing up is close to you, Mr. G. I mean, I'm in my 40s, but I came up in that era of speak when spoken to. Adults are talking, you don't talk. Your feelings don't matter. You got beat, you better not cry, and you better stiffen up your upper lip. We come from that era. We didn't have, I mean, yes, we had a chance to cry, like you said. We could cry, we could this, we could that. But it was a different, we
Oh
had it.
yeah.
My dad is ex-military. My dad was in the army, like I told you.
I
So,
heard they had that police
oh,
belt,
it was
that
kind of militant in my
FBI.
household. Like we grew up militant. You didn't move. Yeah, it was there was no games.
Wow.
So like this soft stuff when we talk about people not wanting to say certain things to the kid and kindness. All right, well, I mean, our parents loved us unconditionally, but that didn't mean they was gonna be kind. If you was out of pocket, you was gonna get your ass whooped. So and
Like that part.
like, and guess what? I think our era is better off for it, quite honestly. You
And
know what
then
I'm
they have a
saying?
nerve to come back and
Yeah.
talk about they
Hey,
loved you.
you got you.
Bitch, they
Hey,
love
you.
you for doing that.
Hey,
Come on.
look. You got 5 decades of children who turned out okay.
Hmm.
You know what I'm
And I
saying?
don't have no trauma when I was a kid because I got in
That's what
trouble.
I'm saying.
Why would I have trauma? I got in trouble. I was wrong. That's why I got beat. Like, you know, what you mean? That's trauma because I got beat because I was wrong. I don't understand that. Right?
And see, that's the point I'm trying to make. If people would just sit back for a moment, and if they were to do a little research and see in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s,
Yeah.
how things were, start checking some statistics. I
We
mean,
were
we had
scared to do a
people
lot
do
of
some
things.
stuff.
We was
Hey,
scared of our
And
parents.
then
I
we
was
had
scared of my
confidence.
dad. Like
Yeah.
when we grew up, you knew if they said be home by the street light, you knew if you wasn't, you was in trouble. And that's it. And you knew, and if you stayed past that, you might as well get the most out of that because you know you're gonna be grounded after that.
Go and get the
So
little switches off the tree
yeah,
and put
get
them
the switch
together.
off the
So you
tree. Yeah,
ain't,
get the switch.
yeah,
Remember that? Get the switch.
get the
What you mean? Get the switch.
switches.
Go get a tree branch.
Switches.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, get the
you
switch. Yo,
know
look,
why they call them switches, right?
why?
Because they switched your attitude when they were
Shut
done.
up.
Oh, is that right? You funny as hell.
You changed after that
Yeah,
spank.
that's a tree branch is different than a.
And you better go get the right one too.
I was
'Cause
just going to
that
say you
made
better
it
get the
worse.
right one. No, don't. That's too small. That's gonna break. What you mean?
Oh
Nah,
yeah.
there you go. Nah, here go get a
Oh yeah.
switch. Like what? I
Yeah.
gotta go get something for you to beat me with it. And then my mom got crafty. She used to keep the wooden paddle and the leather belt, and she used to take the leather belt in her purse when we would go out places. So
Oh
like
yeah,
if you get in the supermarket,
that thing come out like the hidden,
yo, Dejoya, real
shoot.
quick, I'm gonna let y'all go. I remember one time we was at the supermarket. I got two younger sisters. They're twins. Yo, one of them got to acting up and touching the stuff, and my mom said whatever. She said, we going back to the car. We all went back to the car. I had to go because I was a kid. She beat my one sister in the car and said, we going back in the store. And you better not cry. So one sister got a beating, the other one watched, and I watched, and said, we going back in the store. And you better not cry. And guess what? She ain't cry.
And when they bought them, look, when they bought them belts and stuff out, them thing made
Bro,
that Nike swisher ain't got nothing on the side of them
woo,
belts.
that
And
leather
that
belt.
thing
Woo, man. No. And so I believe, look, I believe that there should be a healthy respect. Fear is one thing, but I think there should be a balance, like what Mr. G was saying. And I believe as you grow older, and once again, I defer to y'all with the parenting in that sense. But I think that as a child grows, your leash or leeway with them should grow because you're giving them the respect to say you're mature enough to understand what's right and wrong. And that's the one thing I can say about my parents. As I got older, they knew it wasn't like a micromanaged thing with me. They looked at it like, you know what you're supposed to do and not do. So you go out there and you get caught in the wrong situation. You know the consequences, and there's gonna be consequences with us. And then I was an athlete. So for me, I'm playing sports, I'm performing arts, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing all this. I ain't trying to get in trouble because that's gonna mess up all my extracurricular stuff anyway.
Absolutely. Hey, but see, my main thing is that I want people to understand that it's okay to lean toward gentle parenting. I'm just saying, historically, if you look at the decades of, you know, children and where they are today, I guarantee you, we didn't have no school shooting every week. We didn't
Oh,
have
no, no.
kids bringing guns to school.
No,
If,
there was
if you
fights
got
after school. Everybody meet at the playground and the fight gonna go down or whatever like
it,
that. Yeah, that
I
type of
don't
stuff.
remember
but
nothing like
even
that
then,
happening when we
but
went to
hey,
school.
but even then, Keith, you know what happened? You might get beat up, but you ain't gonna get killed. You know,
No. And you ain't gonna be coming back. You lost, it's over. So now you take the L and you move on. And it's
that's
just like,
exactly
hey,
right. That's
yeah, no, you're right. And look, I will say this. You asked the question. Let me say this one last thing. The temperament of the country that we live in now is different. So I believe that some parents' parenting is influenced by perception from the outside, not so much by what's best for the kid. So I believe, at least I've seen this from what I observe from people that I know and even generally. And then I have, younger people in my family that I'm close with and all that, right? I believe parenting in this era has become more uh, less structured because of the fear of the perception of how it
Yeah,
looks.
because they'll
And
tell on you.
like the Joya said, I believe some of these parents, and I've seen it, they're scared of the kids. So they're scared if I'm too strong, the kid's going to report me, or
Mhm.
they're going to tell somebody, or they're going to go and say this on social media, not realizing that if I'm paying your phone, but I'm going to slap you with that phone and that tablet, and I'm going to take it away. You better not, you going to call who? All right. Now
But
don't give me,
but
I'm not a parent, so I
but
defer to y'all, but I'm just saying, I'm
Hey,
one of them
look,
people. I don't play no games
I'll
when it
tell
comes to
you.
certain things. And I think that this era, and here's the other thing, here's the other problem. The kids now, regardless of what the parents do, they see high level people in our society, i.e., the president, i.e., other people, doing wrong,
yeah.
being convicted of wrong, and getting away with it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But yeah, because like
So y'all go ahead.
yeah,
Y'all go ahead.
they can tell us, like, if they come to school, like if a kid come and tell you they feel scared or this and that and the other, and and if you don't go tell somebody and they find out later something happened, they you could lose your job. And I mean, and to that, what you said about they watching the politicians do and the things, we ain't gonna say no names about orange people, but I mean, we ain't, but I mean, I feel the same way. Like some kids be like, how you a felon and you could do that, and and I can't vote, but so there's no consequences for
You talking
anything.
about Tangerine
I ain't,
Man?
yeah,
That's what you
not the
talking about?
orange man,
Tangerine
yeah,
Man?
the
Yeah.
orangutan and whatever, yeah, hush. But I'm just
Hey,
saying,
but the bottom line is that just like you just said, Keith, they are afraid of being reported. Man, I'm telling you, we didn't have those issues because you wouldn't dare pick up your phone and call somebody or your parents. Now,
bro, I got a
uh,
beating in the classroom.
but
I got a
listen,
beating in the
but listen,
classroom.
listen. What the more majority of people who support um, the gentle parenting, they're going to say that you just took the abuse. And what I'm saying to all our listeners, every situation was not abusive. So you had family members and parents who had discipline in their methods of parenting, but they didn't abuse their kids. That's a default for people who want to support gentle parenting. And
Well,
listen,
not everybody
against
though.
one
No,
or
we
the
weren't
other.
abused. We were not abused. So exactly. So
Yes,
I'm glad you clarified that. We talk
yeah,
about a strong upbringing, but we were
right.
not abused by any stretch. No, 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 no,
Absolutely,
no.
absolutely. But you get the people who believe in that, and I trust me, I'm saying that I don't really favor one or the other. I believe, as I said, there has to be a healthy balance between the two if you're going to have children who are going to be contributors to society and not be mentally and psychologically damaged. You have to have a balance. If you're too soft, they're going to be damaged. If you're too hard, they're going to be damaged too. Whether or not it shows on the outside or the internal issues, there's going to be some damage because it just like anything else in life, there has to be a balance. If you eat too much sugar, you're going to die. If you don't exercise, you're going to die. If you exercise too much, you might die. So, there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance. Now, in gentle parenting, as I said, traditional parenting, children are expected to be tough. They're expected to follow instructions. I don't see anything wrong with that, right? But the thing is, they say that they are taught to hide their emotions. Now, I don't know because I never was forced to hide my emotions. So I'm sure I'm not the only one. So we can't generalize and say that, even if they did a consensus and took a survey, you can't say all children were affected because of that. You
Mr.
understand?
G, you know what people mistake hiding your emotions for? They
What's that?
mistake the fact that your parents said, you're going to do what I said because I said it and you don't have no say in it as you can't express your emotion. You're a kid. You ain't got no emotion. You shut up and do what you told. That's it. So people mistake, I didn't have no say. Yeah, you was a kid. What you was going to say? I remember one time my sister said she wanted to move out. My parents went and got the bag and they sat it at the door, but they ain't put nothing in it.
Right,
And she said, well, where's my stuff? They said, we bought everything. What you mean? What you taking? The clothes is ours. The shoes is ours. Everything. So you
right,
take
right.
nothing. What you mean? No, what do you mean? That's not fair. What do you mean it's not fair? We bought it. You didn't buy it. So
Yeah,
people
yeah,
make that as some, because no, no, no. That's
yeah,
not
yeah.
what happened.
And I
Yeah.
and I and I do think, like when I discipline my kids, even now, I have to tell them, well, why I was up. I mean, I know why I was upset, but A, B, and C. I think that with the discipline and and the firmness, you don't talk to them like they're your friend, but you got to say, hey, you know what? When you do this, and this, that didn't work like that. You know what I mean? Maybe if you wanted to express this or you needed this, this was a better way to say it, or something like that. I do that. You know what I'm saying? Like with some
Absolutely.
things, especially the one that's in college, because he on his own little journey right now. We got studio time, and you talking about, yeah, it's finna be a flash flood outside. If you don't get your ass in that car and get to that studio, and I done paid this money, I'm gonna give you 5 seconds. And then in the group chat, here you go. I'm on the way. Yeah, that, so I think, you have to determine when where the balance should be and where the tough love should be and things like that.
And
So,
see, that's my point exactly because
so
if we read on and we get into the research, this tells us that gentle parenting acknowledges the emotions of the children and they acknowledge that their emotions are valid. Well, in traditional parent, they acknowledge that you have emotions too. But as Keith said, if I'm a child, what am I going to say to my parent when I've done something wrong and they spank me? What am I supposed to say? Don't spank me. Let me get away with it this time. There's no conversation about that. That doesn't mean that you aren't allowed to express yourself. Of course, if you cry, if you feel remorseful and whatnot, then they took a little pity on it, at least in my family. So they say that, crying, frustration, and anger are seen as normal and are met with empathy. So let me ask everyone who believes in that. If you're a child, you go to the Walmart, Wally World, and your child is in the cart, and because of gentle parenting, and they don't have any consequences, or they don't have the threat of consequences, and they start throwing things off the shelf and running around in the store. Do you think that that is normal behavior? Is that acceptable? Because I've seen it.
I know you ain't asking me, and I told you the coat rack had its own mind when I was a kid. So don't ask me. Don't
Well, I
ask me
understand
that.
that because I've seen it happen. I've seen children take off, run through the store, not like they're playing, but because they're angry and they're running away from the parents, and the parents is
Listen,
running.
I would have me a belt somewhere. That thing would be like a whippersnapper because I can't run. Yeah, I can't trip you because I can't get to you. So I go find me a belt off that shelf, and when I do get you, I be throwing something up there to trip you up so fast. Don't ask. I ain't one of them parents. I ain't one of
Okay.
them.
All right, well, check this out.
Nope.
So they say in traditional, we're talking about motivation now. In traditional parenting, children often behave to avoid punishment or earn reward. They say that they often behave, they do what they're told in the traditional parenting role to avoid punishment. Okay. Now,
Well, ain't that why you supposed to behave?
absolutely. That was my
Well,
point. You,
I
you
was
took
listening a
out.
little bit. Ain't you supposed to do that?
So even with gentle parenting, aren't they supposed to act or behave to avoid punishment? Whether or not it's a
No, because
spanking.
because you know what they know they gonna get it. What however they act, and then they start to because you're two, you gonna be in timeout for 2 minutes. Oh, because you five, I'm gonna take this. No, it ain't no reasoning with this. You getting an ass whooping because you get over here.
If you do
Period.
something wrong, we are all built on reward and punishment. Whether or not we get caught or not, it's in our DNA, it's the way we were created. Adam and Eve, they knew that if they bit from the tree of life, that there was some punishment. That's why they hid themselves. So even from the beginning of time, we know if we do something wrong, we're supposed to be punished. If we do something right, we expect to be rewarded, whether or not it's something tangible or whether or not it's the good feeling we have within ourselves. That's the reward. That's the way we're built. So when I hear stuff like they behave to avoid punishment or earn reward, that's what they're supposed to do. That's how they were created. So whether or not you're using gentle parenting and something less severe than the traditional way, is still punishment. Let me re-emphasize, we're not talking about abusive disciplinary practices. We're talking about the traditional parenting. Now, in gentle parenting, this is what they say. This is what they say. They say children are encouraged to develop internal motivation, doing the right thing because it makes sense, not just to please their parents.
That don't make no damn sense.
These are the experts and scholars and psychologists who have studied this human behavior. And this is what they say. This is the best they can come up with.
They just use some words because it sounded right. Because they know if they really read that, that wouldn't make no sense.
That's what I said when I read it, DeJoy.
I don't even know what you said. What you said that I don't. It didn't even come.
It
Computing
says
them.
children are encouraged to develop internal motivation, doing the right thing because it makes sense. That's gentle parenting, not just to please their parents. Look, when I did something wrong and I got my punishment, I wanted to please my parents the next time. What is wrong with that? Is that not a motivation? I also understood, because of the discipline that I received, that it was the wrong thing to do. So the right thing to do was just the opposite of that, which registered with me for a lifetime. Now, whether or not I choose to do it or not, that's different. Okay? Now I know, Miss O'Neill, you talking about beating children. We're going to have to edit this.
I'm just trying to tell you, ain't listen. Miss Flossie don't play. The lunch lady don't play. I keep telling y'all, I don't be playing with that now.
Now, here's another statement that I disagree with. And again, this is the research. These aren't my words. This is the research that we've done. And the sources that we use are credible. Okay? So you can't discredit it. All right? In traditional parenting, respect is often one-sided. The child only respects the parent.
That's a lie. Now you know what? You about to tell you something. That's a lie. That's a lie. The respect be, first of all, let me get this straight. In a traditional parenting sense, I'm not gonna beg you for your love and your respect and your this and your that, because you're gonna respect me and we're gonna be equally respectful. But if you step out of pocket and say the wrong thing, I'm gonna put you in your place. All of this stuff about you should be respecting a kid and children should have a voice. Yes, that's true, but it's certain things that they shouldn't be allowed to say or do. I know several parents that let their little kids just curse and do whatever they want to do because they say they should be free to express this and express that. Where are you coming at with that out your mouth at that age? You know what I'm saying? And yeah, you could say, they watch you do this and watch you do that, but they know they shouldn't do that. I'm not a fan of that. I'm just sorry. We're not even gonna go there. No, sir. I mean, I'm just trying to tell you, we not gonna play them games, because that's how you end up with them feeling like that they don't have to respect other adults either. So they don't think they have to respect anybody because you're allowing this, so they feel like they can do it to everybody, and then they get out there and get somebody like me and do the wrong thing, they get knocked out.
Hey, look here. I'm finna chime in, so I'm gonna put the flashing lights on because this finna get heavy.
Did you just say you gonna go get the flash and you just want to play? You just want everybody to see them lights, and you just want to go turn on. You just want to go do some stuff.
I gotta get them flashing because this is heavy stuff that I'm about to put down, DeJoya.
You acting like you got ADHD tonight. Sit down in that chair.
Okay, listen. All right. So, yeah, I kind of had issues with that statement too, about doing the right thing because it makes sense. All right. I disagree. Just because a parent uses firm disciplinary approach, it does not mean that they don't respect their children.
No.
I don't understand why the different parallels are drawn to emphasize a point on what they prefer, but that's not true. You can't say that you disrespect your children or you don't respect them just because you use firm discipline.
We not friends.
Exactly. And I don't want to be friends with my parents. I want to be friendly with them, but I don't want to hang out with my mom and my dad. I don't want to, I want to do the kid things that we're supposed to do traditionally. go to the movie, do all these things. When I get of age, then I go to the movies by myself. You know,
Listen, I'm 52 years old and I don't even want to have a drink with my mama. You know what I'm saying? Like her and my sister, they do those things, but like if we go somewhere, I'll be like, I want a Coke. Give me a
uh,
Sprite.
but look, here hey, look at here. My mother has never seen me drink in her life and never will. And she's 93 years old.
Yeah, I'm like, mm-mm.
So listen, the key takeaways from this is that traditional parenting is the rule is focused and obedience driven and discipline centered. Gentle parenting is relationship focused, empathy driven, and guidance centered. Now, let's use this example real quick because I want to get hot and heavy. I want to upset some people and I want them to just kind of meal this over and let it marinate. All right. Let's say that your child says to you, I don't want to go to bed. Right? Something real simple. It's bedtime. You tell them to go to bed. They tell you, I don't want to go to bed. Now, the traditional parenting response would be, it's bedtime. Get in bed, go to bed, or you lose your TV privilege tomorrow, or you're going to get a spanking. If the child resists, the parent may raise their voice, and personally, I don't
Or
see
just knock them the hell out.
stop being so loud.
I'm just saying.
They will raise their voice, threaten with the punishment, or physically put the child in bed. The results are the child may comply, but usually out of fear of consequences rather than understanding why bedtime is important. Now, listen, I mean, these scenarios that they give, they exclude the fact that before you get to that point, at least in my traditional home and with traditional parenting from my neighborhood, it's always you always talk to before, right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Oh,
They
you're not
always
wrong, because
talk
I'm
to
I'm gonna
you.
say it's time for you to go to bed. And they say, "Mommy, I don't want to go to bed." I'm saying, "Okay, but you need to go to bed because you got to go to school tomorrow." I'm gonna tell you that one time, and then
Absolutely.
you gonna say,
Absolutely.
"But I don't want to go." Okay, well, tomorrow we'll be. You don't have to go to school, so you can stay up late. But today we got to get up. After that time, I'm gonna be like, "Get your hind paw in that bed. Get in there."
And that's part of traditional parenting as well as gentle parenting. The people that create the parallel to the extreme are just being naive or just in denial or just don't understand. So that's what we do in traditional parenting. Now, here's an example of what happens in gentle parenting. And I'm not saying which one is right or wrong. As I said from the beginning of the broadcast, I think there has to be a healthy balance between the two. Here's what gentle parenting says. I hear you don't want to go to bed. You're having fun and don't want to stop, right?
You can't even read that right. Cause you can't even read that right. Just quit it.
No,
Just
no,
quit
that's
it.
okay.
You try to fix it. You cannot read that. You having fun and don't want to go to bed, right? But don't you want to have fun tomorrow? Well, okay, we can have fun for 5 more minutes. No, get your little hind party in that bed right now. Forget the fun. Now I'm mad. Now get in
I'm
bed.
trying to make the point,
You
DeJoy.
can't even
I'm
read that
trying to
right.
make the
Ladies, you hear him trying to read this right. He can't even read that. You can't even fix your mouth as a black man to read that right.
No. It said you're having fun and don't want to go to bed, right? Yes, I don't want to sleep. And this is what your response is. I understand.
So you literally
No, wait
you
a
gonna
minute.
tell
I'm
you
not
gonna
trying
tell
to
my
be
mind and them
violent.
that
You
they
make
gonna be like,
you're affecting my delivery. All right, leave me alone.
yeah,
I'm
you
not
know
being
that shit.
violent.
Okay, I'm gonna be quiet.
All right,
I ain't
please.
gonna look
Okay.
over there.
Okay. So it says, because I want you to give me a synopsis after I'm done. Okay. So it says, I understand. It's hard to stop playing, but your body needs rest to feel good tomorrow. Let's choose one last book or toy to take to bed so bedtime feels easier.
Listen, Morgan Freeman. Listen, Morgan Freeman.
I'm just
The
delivering
Lawrence
the
Fishburne and me would have been like, you got 2 seconds. 2 seconds. And I would be doing them balls in my hand. You know that he had them boys in the hood. To get your
Them
butt
tension
up in
balls,
that
the
bed.
stress balls, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
them
Furious with
stress
these.
balls.
Yeah.
Whatever them balls was. Cause next time I tell you, I'm gonna throw one. And y'all know
Well,
they were metal.
you know what happened when you say it's time to go to bed and you say you hungry. My parents used to say, drink some water and go to bed. You'll be all right.
I'd be like, swallow your spit.
Drink some water. Drink
Swallow
some
your spit.
water.
You'll be all
But
right.
people don't realize that drinking water also is good because sometimes you're hungry because you need more water. You're dehydrated. You know what I mean? Like, yo, it's
Listen,
crazy,
it
man.
don't make that sound good. No kid, they don't want to go to bed. I'm gonna take one of them little silver balls that Lawrence was up there going between his finger. I tell you, go to bed next time we'll throw it.
Yeah.
Now
So,
look,
so the last thing it says, if the child resists, the parent holds the boundaries calmly. Bedtime is not negotiable.
they must not be black. They must not be black. Cause that don't you can't even read that
Let
right.
me finish so we can evaluate it.
Yo, you wild, yo. You wild right now, yo.
So the parent holds the boundaries calmly. Bedtime is non-negotiable, but they offer choices and empathy to make the transition smoother. Now I can get with that. The results, the child,
Yeah.
hey,
I'm just saying.
the
I would let you
results
go.
are the child still goes to bed, but feels heard and respected.
And 30 minutes later, like they say on SpongeBob, you still gonna be trying to make them children go to bed, and they gonna be asleep tomorrow when they should be at center time because you trying to be the damn healthy parent.
But they say that over time they will cooperate willingly.
Again, they is not black parents. That is not written in a black parents book. I don't care what nobody say.
What color got to do with it?
Ain't no ain't no real black parent.
There's some other ethnicities that do it the same way. Traditional parenting ain't based on color.
Okay, the Chinese people too. Whoever them other people is, all I'm trying to tell you, that ain't gonna work.
Kicked off, man.
I'm just saying that's not working.
Yeah, but listen, the biggest difference is traditional parenting uses control and compliance. Gentle parenting uses connection and cooperation. So the big question is both traditional parenting and gentle parenting, they both have strengths and weaknesses. But which one is better? That's the question. Which one is better? They both have strengths and weaknesses, as we know. I am an advocate to say that You have to have a healthy balance between the two. Which one is better will depend on a variety of different things. They will depend on your goals, your values, and your child's need. They say traditional parenting can create fear, resentment, or rebellion if the child feels controlled or unheard.
The other one can too, because later on in life, the child might regret. You know what? My mom should have been
Yeah.
more. So my dad should have been more whatever. So I think it just depends on the situation or how severe the issue is you're trying to navigate through or whatever. But like I said, I had to work on my. I've been working on myself.
Oh yeah, we all are. We all a work in progress.
I'm
But
gonna stick by me though.
some kids learn to behave outwardly, but struggle with emotions inside. That's what they say about traditional parenting. In gentle parenting, if done without firm boundaries, it can slide into permissive parenting, where kids don't learn discipline or respect rules. The most effective style is usually a blend. Here's the experts, the most effective style is usually a blend. And some people call it being authoritative, authoritative parenting.
Mm.
Not to be confused with authoritarian. That's a big difference. That's a big difference. So I put that off to the end because I wanted to have a healthy discussion on what people's feelings were toward gentle parenting and traditional parenting. But at the end of the day, the most effective way is to have a balance or blend between the two. All right. I'm getting ready to close out, so I'm going to give y'all an opportunity for the last word to Joy and Keith.
Now I ain't gonna say nothing. They already know how I feel about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you finna get us kicked off TikTok.
No, I'm not.
We're gonna have to create our own platform to do our lives. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? We're gonna have to create our own
yeah.
platform, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Nah, I'm
gee.
good. Y'all go ahead and close out, Mr. G.
Okay, but in conclusion, how we were raised will somewhat determine our parenting style. It depends on how we were raised, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that because we were raised a certain way, that's the way that we're gonna raise our children. Other influences play a big part as well. Because when you're an adult and you travel and you experience different things, you see some things that you can do better, or you can see some things that you do differently, and you can draw upon the things that you do well. So, outside influences will determine somewhat how we raise our children. But overall, statistics show that a combination of the two will always yield the best result. A combination of the two. So when I start talking to people, and I'm sure I'm going to get some, when I post it on Facebook, I'm going to get people my DM once they review this, and they're going to disagree with certain things that were said. But at the end of the day, this is a healthy discussion on both sides. Not to say which one is right, which one is wrong. We gave pros and cons on both. Now, warmth and empathy comes from gentle parenting. Clear rules and boundaries come from traditional parenting. So all four of those elements are necessary to have children that are well-rounded and that are not psychologically or physically or emotionally damaged. With the balance of the two, kids feel loved and respected, but still understand. And this is the key. they still have to understand that the parents are the authority and they are the leaders. We get into these issues where people are doing all of these devilish things and wayward and bad behavior because they aren't disciplined at home. I feel for any teacher, you, DeJoya, and anybody who has to deal with the kids the way that they are now. Because if the parent choose not to discipline them, then guess what? You have to do it as a teacher or who work in the school system. And I think that's unfair. You're not there to raise children, you're there to teach. So with that being said, we appreciate you all. Thank you all so much for all the gifts that you've given me. And I'm going to share them with DeJoya and Keith. And we'll see y'all next Wednesday. So until then, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, au revoir, and we'll see you later. Take care.
Okay, bye.